Good morning from Grand Forks. See, I just wanted to get on today and talk a little bit about the pink drink. It's everywhere now, right? You see it on social media, and you might have a friend that talks about their pink drink all the time. And until I really started researching the ingredients, I did not have a full appreciation for what this little magic packet of powder can do. So I want to go over that a little bit today, just so you have a better understanding and appreciation for what this little pink packet of powder can do. All right, so first I want to go over the history of this product. All right, so PLEXUS, they determined that America was in a health crisis. Okay, so diabetes is a really big deal in this country. I mean, either you might be diabetic, you know somebody who's diabetic, it runs in your family tree, you may be pre-diabetic, you may be diabetic and not even know you're diabetic, right? Okay, so it's a blood sugar issue. It's about your insulin not showing up, okay? So they wanted to develop a drink that's gonna help with blood sugar stabilization for diabetics, okay? So they run their study and they determined that not only did it decrease blood sugar, it also moved patients' A1Cs, which is a long-term indicator of blood sugar stability, in the right direction, okay? So that's what your doctor wants to look at. They want to know the big picture, what's been going on in a long term, rather than just what did I take my blood sugar reading at this morning, right? When you knew you were going to the doctor and you knew you wanted that number low, this is going to be an indicator, a better indicator of where you're at, okay? It also decreased blood pressure. It also decreased LDL cholesterol. And not only that, but these folks lost weight. All right, diabetics are not the only population that need to lose weight. America needs to lose weight. The majority of Americans, right? We eat terrible. There's snacks everywhere. We snack all day long. You go to Hobby Lobby to buy something and you're waiting in line, and while you're looking, snacks everywhere, candy, chips, right? We are just programmed to want to eat. Are we hungry? Probably not, but it's who we are as a population. Okay, so let's get back to that. So we're overweight as Americans. So PLEXUS said, well, it's a side effect, but you know, that's marketable. And that is what we're gonna do with this product. We are gonna name it Slim, and we're gonna market it for weight loss. Okay, so the Hunger Control Slim, bigger package, and you can visually see that there's more powder in here. So what makes this one different, it has an ingredient in here called polydextrose, and polydextrose is a fiber. Okay, so what that fiber does, it's not digested by the enzymes in your system. Instead, what it does is it works perfectly when you've just had a lot of water, and then this goes in and it grabs into that water and it expands and it makes you feel fuller. It makes you feel satisfied. So this is ideally taken about 30 to 60 minutes before a meal. So that way you're less apt to overeat. Does that make sense? So that's what makes this one different, polydextrose, okay? Now we're gonna talk about what's in both products that make it so special and make it do what it needs to do, okay? So chromium. Chromium is the big deal. Chromium is a trace mineral that we should be getting from our foods that we don't get like we ought to anymore, right? Our soil is depleted. We don't have those nutrients, those micronutrients in the soil that we got years, decades ago. So chromium is the missing ingredient in what's going on, and I want to explain why and how that is such a big deal when it comes to sugar stabilization, okay? Okay, so it's summer season, vacation season. You take you and your family to a little touristy town, okay? We all do that, it's America, right? You go to a little touristy town and you've got all these shops along Main Street, and they all have a job to do. They're gonna serve you food, restaurants. They have work to do in these shops. They're gonna sell little knickknacks, okay? So here's these shops, and then you have a doorman at these shops. And the doorman is insulin, fancy jewelry store. It's not Walmart. This is a small touristy American town. Okay, so the guy at the door, insulin. The shop, that's your cell. So when you eat a meal that's going to transpose to all these people walking down the sidewalk, all these cars driving down the street in this little touristy town. Those tourists need to get into those shops to keep those shops productive, right? So that blood sugar needs insulin to get into the shop, into your cell for energy. That's that bridge. Insulin's that bridge. But here's where chromium comes in. Chromium is necessary in that whole process to make insulin do its job. If you don't have enough chromium there, insulin may show up, but it can't open the door. Think of chromium as the key. If you don't have the key to open the door, insulin can't get in there to do its job. So you may have insulin, but it's not sensitive. Okay, so you hear the term insulin sensitivity. Chromium is the key. You gotta have it, okay? So that's how chromium works, and that's why it's so important that we have it, okay? So then there are also other ingredients, of course, that are in both products. So I'm gonna go over those quickly. Green coffee bean. Okay, green coffee beans, they extract a chemical out of there called chlorogenic acid. Now this chlorogenic acid will decrease your carb digestion, which in turn maintains your blood sugars in the normal range. And I hear you saying in the back of your mind, coffee beans? I don't do caffeine. Here's the deal. When they're green coffee beans, there's a 2% caffeine load in there. It's negligible. It's not a thing. So it's after they're roasted is when you really extract and get the bang on the caffeine. All right, so that's why the green coffee bean, okay? Another ingredient, Garcinia cambogia. So that ingredient is high in hydroxycitric acid. And what hydroxycitric acid does is decrease your insulin and decreases inflammation. And we all know what a big role inflammation plays in the whole disease process. So also beneficial to what Slim does. Stabilize your blood sugars, decrease overall inflammation in the body at a cellular level. That's where it's at. All right, next ingredient, alpha lipoic acid, ALA. So that's a fatty acid in your cells that is an antioxidant. So it's cell protective. We want that cell protective there. All right, so that is used by our bodies to decrease our blood sugars as well. And it actually, in Europe, they use the ALA for neuropathies. Isn't that fascinating? I bet you know somebody that has that. Tingling in their extremities. Diabetics especially struggle with this. Okay, the last ingredient that I want to go over that's in both products is white mulberry fruit extract. And what that does, it prevents blood sugar spikes by just slowing the absorption of your carbs, of your food. Slows that absorption so you're not doing this with your blood sugars. And that's what causes such a mess in us, right? Our moods, brain fog, skin conditions. So yeah, this is a big deal to stabilize those blood sugars, okay? So those are the ingredients that are in both products. Now let's talk about what makes the microbiome activating different than the hunger control, okay? So the microbiome activating activates your microbiome. Shocker. So what it has in there is a prebiotic. And a prebiotic is fertilizer, it's food for your probiotics. Okay, does that make sense? So it's not really used by our bodies, it's food for our bacteria. So are we gonna feed our bacteria? Yes, yes we are. And we're gonna do it every day because it's that important. Because again, you care about your health, your gut health, because it's a big deal. It really is a big deal. So that's what makes this one different, okay? So the prebiotic, and what that is called is XOS. I won't even pronounce the long word because you won't remember it and I won't remember how to pronounce it right. So XOS, all right? So what that does, it increases the lactobacillus in our gut by up to 365%. And we want that. We want that good gut bacteria to flourish down there. We want it to thrive. It also increases the bifidobacterium by up to 290%. Yeah, sweet, huh? That's what we want. We want to be feeding that good gut bacteria. It also increases Akkermansia. So that's a microbe. And what that does is it impacts our disrupted metabolism when you're overweight, okay? So that's also going to be a key component in all that. All right, so now I want to go over just the visual package of these. You can tell one's smaller, one's bigger. Hunger control, it's got that fiber in it. That's what is making the package bigger. Okay, so it makes it a little bit trickier to mix too, and I'll go over that in a minute. These are both pink. The pink drink, right? Not just for girls. This is for everybody. If you eat food, you will benefit from this. Bottom line, if you eat food, you need this every day. Bottom line. So here's the deal. It's pink. I don't do red food dye. That's not good for you. All right, it's beet powder extract. How cool is that? Research beets and how good they are for you. And not only is it the beet, carrot concentrate, hibiscus concentrate, sweet potato, radish, cherry, and apple. It's extracted from, again, plants that God has given us on this earth to benefit our bodies, okay? It's all natural. It's all taken from, it's not synthetic, is what I'm saying. It's not synthetic. Okay, so that's the color, the flavor. It's fruity, it's pink, makes sense, right? So the Hunger Control is a blood orange and citrus blend, and it's delicious. It really is. And I'm not like a sweet fruit fan, and I drink it every day and I have no issues with it at all. The microbiome is a little bit different. That is a watermelon raspberry. And again, these flavors are extracted from the fruits. It's not artificial flavored. It's sweetened with stevia, also plant-based. Yeah, it's good for you. Okay, so now let's get into mixing it up. So it's mixed with about 12 to 20 ounces of water. Shaker bottle is the best way to do it, I have found. This one, the small package, the microbiome, you can just dump in and shake it up. There's not that much powder in there. It doesn't have the additional fiber, so it doesn't clump. Now this one has a tendency to clump. So here's a couple tricks. In fact, one of my friends told me this one. But if you just mix it in a little bit of warm water, just a little bit of warm water, and shake it, and then fill it up with the coals, that will mix it for you. Also, the more surface area you have. So let's say you're filling your bottle, and don't fill it all the way full, but see you've got more surface area when you tip it. If you sprinkle it over that, then it shakes in better for you too. So those are just some tips for you. But at the end of the day, this is a big deal. Okay, so the only really, a couple of the ingredients are extracted from corn. So if you are allergic to corn, that may be an issue. And again, corn is a natural vegetable, right, that God has given us. But of course, if you have a sensitivity, you'd want to keep that in mind. All right, so I don't consider this just my pink drink. This is my pink powerhouse. And I don't want to go a day without it because it's that important. Yeah, so that is my learning for the day. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope if you haven't figured out how important your gut health is, that you are researching this a little bit more on your own. So enjoy your day, all.